Hello, welcome back to another clip. I'm gonna try to not have my leg in there, but I'm driving, so I can't really have my phone propped up. So I apologize for that in advance. But today's video topic is feeling misunderstood as an Aquarius moon. Can this card go so I can fully talk? Oh my God. But I just been thinking a little bit about just general things and how most Aquarius moons feel misunderstood in general and why that is a thing. Because I feel like that. I genuinely feel misunderstood a lot of the times. I feel like people don't have, and this is just a feeling. It's not saying that, oh, this is like 100% true, obviously. But I had this feeling that like nobody really cares to understand me as a person, or even have the capacity to understand how I truly be feeling about things and how I feel on the inside, or even care about how I feel or how I see the world and things along those lines. The thing about Aquarius moons is we see the world in a very, very unique way. I know a lot of people say that, but it's more so, it's like we just have a lot of different thoughts. We have thoughts that are very, very advanced, and we have ways of thinking that people don't typically think like. And the thing is behind that, or my theory of why that is because people typically don't like to reflect on life. People typically don't like to reflect on their thoughts a lot of the times. People don't really like breaking down their thought processes, and people don't really enjoy breaking down their beliefs, especially their old beliefs. So that's the thing. I think why most Aquarius moons, maybe even Aquarius suns and Aquarius rises, even feel misunderstood, because it's like we're constantly thinking about things and overthinking and breaking down our thought patterns and adjusting to new thought patterns as we take in more information and as we observe people more and as we talk to more people and gain different perspectives. Like our perspective of life and how we see things is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving into a more concrete thought to a given subject. So a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't evolve at that pace, if that makes sense too. I'm not saying everybody. There's a lot of people, I know a lot of people in astrology, even they had those type of futuristic mindsets and critical thinking mindsets and computerized mindsets, or however you want to see it. But that's why another thing why people call Aquarius placements robotics, because it's like it's quite literally thinking with a lot of logic in between. Like I'll use an example of yesterday at work. I got written up, right? So I got written up, and of course I was upset like about being written up and what happened, but throughout the whole process I was like rationalizing it in my head, like, okay, like this is for a reason. It's not like necessarily my boss's fault. I made this mistake. So I'm rationalizing this out in my head. Meanwhile, I'm like upset. I literally cried out, like outwardly, but I'm rationalizing this in my head of like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's not something that you intended to do, and so I'm computing and having a therapy session with myself in the head, and that's kind of what we do. It's Aquarius moons, especially. That's kind of what we do. We had these therapy sessions with ourselves in our head to calm ourselves down on the surface. So it was like on the outside you can see like, okay, we're calm, cool, collected, and that's because we're thinking about it in our head and like making things make sense. So back to the topic of feeling misunderstood. There's a lot of thoughts and stuff that I have that when I talk to people, they're like, or I just might not be into the same things that a typical person is. I'm not a person who rides with trends or anything like that. Like, I'm into weird things. I'm into unusual things. I have unusual habits. I have like habits that people typically would be like, why do you do that? But it's like, there's no right way to do life. There is no right way. People think, or people have this perception that there's a specific way that you're supposed to do things because of how you were brought up or raised. And I was reading my psychology book that I had about, which is like, it's obvious, but not a lot of people think about it. All things that you know now, like going up and even into as an adult, it's stuff that you were taught. It's stuff that you were taught. It's stuff that you absorbed into yourself from your environment. So technically, it's not stuff that is coming from you authentically, if that makes sense as well. So the thing about why Aquarius placements be feeling misunderstood is because we tend to operate outside of that. We operate outside of, especially once we break away from our parents and them teaching us things and us absorbing their thoughts and their patterns and how they see life, we enter our own little world where we start rebuilding the structure of how we see things and how we want to live life and how, basically how can I explain this? It's like how we authentically want to show. We rebuild and we restructure how we authentically want to show up in the world, and that is confusing to people that are looking in from the outside, like in our lives and how we go about things and our emotional processes. So that's kind of what contributes to us feeling misunderstood and genuinely being misunderstood, because people don't like understanding something that they don't understand, or to rephrase that, people don't like what they don't understand. People call things weird that they don't understand, and it's not that it's weird per se, it's just they simply don't understand it, so they put it in this box of being weird. But I'm here to say, who cares, honestly, at the end of the day. Do what you want to do, live how you want to live. I find it beautiful that Aquarians especially have the ability to see life authentically and not care, and they break down structures because of how they authentically see life. So there's nothing wrong with it. Keep doing you. But that's just my thoughts of why people see us that way, you know. That's all I'm going to talk about. Oh, this one got really late. But I'm about to start work soon, so yeah, this is my observations and theories. I will be back to talk to my camarita or whoever ended up watching. Bye.